Hi, everyone. Thinking about getting ready for winter. I know I am. It's smart to be prepared, especially with all the talk about potential disruptions lately. We're going to do a deep dive today into a YouTube video called 15 Reasons Why You Should Be Prepping Like Crazy Right Now. It's from the Epic Economist channel.
Yeah, that title's a little bit dramatic.
Yeah, a tad dramatic. But that's why we're here, right? To cut through the hype and see what's really worth paying attention to.
Exactly. It's all about informed action,
Right.
not panicking.
Right, knowledge is power. So let's break down these 15 reasons and figure out what makes sense for all of us, how we can prepare without going totally overboard. Now the video starts off talking about supply chains and potential shortages. I think we all remember those empty grocery store shelves, right? From not too long ago.
Yeah, those images are definitely attention-grabbing. But it's important to understand the reasons behind them.
Totally.
So the video highlights data from the USDA that shows up to 22% crop loss this year, just because of weather.
Wow, so like less food, higher prices.
Well, it's not quite that simple.
Yeah.
It's more complex than that. The real issue is how these shortages ripple through the whole system.
Okay, so unpack that ripple effect a little bit for me. The video mentions like potential price spikes, like 50% on certain foods.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Is that really realistic?
Well, if we look at historical data, from past supply shocks, 50% increase isn't impossible. And remember, we're already dealing with inflation, right?
Right.
So this is on top of that. But it's not just about how much your groceries cost. It's also about restaurants,
Right.
food banks, school lunches. Everybody feels it.
Yeah, like a chain reaction. It really makes those empty shelves seem like just a symptom of a much bigger problem.
Exactly. And the video goes on to talk about the global shipping delays.
Oh, yeah.
They're still causing major headaches.
Yeah.
We're talking over 100,000 containers backlogged at U.S. ports, with some ships waiting over 2 months just to unload.
2 months? Is that for real?
Yeah,
I thought all that pandemic backup was easing up by now.
to some extent, yeah. But we're seeing new challenges popping up, like port strikes.
Mm.
And that disrupts the flow of goods.
Oh, right, of course.
And remember, it's not just about holiday shopping delays.
True.
We're talking about essential goods, food, medicine, building materials. Everything gets stuck in the bottleneck.
Everything. And then on top of all that, there's the trucking shortage. This is something I really hadn't thought about before.
Yeah, almost 1 million truck drivers short in the U.S. alone.
Wow.
1 million! It's a problem that's been going on for a while, and it just keeps getting worse.
So think about it. Those ships finally get unloaded, but then who's going to move all that stuff?
Yeah, it's a logistical nightmare. And it's not just the long-haul trucking either. It's local deliveries, grocery stores getting those Amazon packages. It all relies on truck drivers.
I hadn't thought about that. It's crazy how interconnected everything is. Then on top of that, the video talks about another labor shortage. Food service workers. Over 800,000. That's wild.
It's a big one,
Yeah.
especially during the holidays.
Yeah, think about trying to book caterers for a holiday party or just going out to a restaurant and they don't have enough staff to even serve you.
A real possibility.
It makes you realize that being prepared isn't just about stocking up on stuff.
Right.
It's about understanding the systems that provide for our everyday needs.
Totally. We're so used to things just working that we kind of forget how fragile those systems really are.
Yeah, we do. And then, of course, there's the wild card, panic buying.
Oh, yeah.
The video talks about demand surges of 400% during past crises
Yeah.
for like essential items.
Wow. That's a powerful example of how scarcity, even just the idea of it, it can really trigger people.
Totally.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. People worry about shortages, which leads
Right.
to actual shortages.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's why I think a key part of being prepared is mental preparedness. Stay informed, think critically, don't get swept up in the hype.
Okay, got it. Informed action, not panicked hoarding. But even if we manage to avoid all the panic buying, the video brings up rising costs. That's going to hit everyone's wallets, like energy prices.
For sure. Natural gas for heating.
Especially that. Could jump by 30% this winter.
Yeah. And that's just the beginning. What people often don't think about is how energy costs affect food.
Oh, how so?
Well, the whole system, really. Production, transportation. Farmers need fuel for their equipment. Processing plants need energy to run, trucks need gas to deliver. It's dominoes,
Makes sense.
It all leads to higher grocery prices.
So it's not just about keeping your house warm, it's about everything costing more.
Exactly.
And the video mentions a 14% increase in staple foods.
Year over year.
That's a lot.
Yeah, those little price hikes really add up, especially if you're on a budget.
Hmm.
Makes you think about, maybe getting creative with our food choices.
Oh, yeah. Are there ways to kind of offset those rising costs?
For sure. This is where preparedness can go beyond just having a stockpile. Maybe it's looking into local food co-ops, growing your own herbs indoors,
I love that.
or even, learning those old school food preservation techniques,
Oh.
like canning and freezing.
Right, like turning a challenge into a chance to learn some new skills.
Exactly. And maybe even connect with your community in new ways.
Oh, I love that. Speaking of community, the video also really emphasizes local networks in times of disruption.
Right when those global supply chains get messed up, it's our local connections that can help us.
It really makes you realize that we're not just individuals when it comes to these challenges. We're part of this bigger web.
It's a good reminder that we have more power than we think.
Yeah, we can be passive consumers or we can take control.
And build resilience, both individually and as a community.
I love that shift in perspective. It's not about waiting to be rescued. It's about taking ownership.
Exactly.
So speaking of taking ownership, let's talk about those winter-specific challenges. The video highlights those as well.
Because it's not just about preparing for disruption. It's about being ready for the season itself.
Right.
That means thinking about extreme weather, the availability of fresh produce during the colder months, all that.
Okay, so we'll delve into those winter-specific challenges right after a quick break.
Sounds good.
All right, so we're back. And ready to jump into those winter-specific challenges from that Epic Economist video. The one that really stood out to me was about fresh produce. Like, how much less of it might be available during the winter?
Yeah, up to a 30% drop.
30%.
It kind of makes sense, though, right? Shorter growing seasons, plus we rely more on imports. And of course, there's all those transportation issues we talked about.
Yeah. It's kind of scary because it's flu season too, right? And you
Right.
want all those good nutrients to stay healthy.
Absolutely. We always talk about stocking up on those shelf-stable things, but fresh produce is easy to forget.
Yeah, it is. So what do? Just resign yourself to canned peas and frozen spinach all winter?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's a chance to be creative. Think about what's in season and plan your meals around that.
Yeah. Okay.
Like root vegetables. They're a great winter staple, right?
Yeah.
Last a long time, tons of nutrients. And you can use them in so many different ways.
I do love roasted root vegetables. It's so comforting when it's cold out. But what about like fresh greens? If you're craving those in the middle of winter.
Well, there are options.
Yeah.
Indoor herb gardens are getting pretty popular.
Oh, yeah.
Even a small one on your windowsill
Yeah.
will give you fresh herbs all year round. Plus, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like bringing a little bit of spring into your house.
I love that. Speaking of staying warm, the video talked about shortages of winter essentials too. Blankets, heaters, warm clothes, that sort of thing.
Yeah, those are always in high demand when it gets cold. But this year, with the supply chain stuff and higher energy costs,
Yeah, it's going to be even worse.
it's a good reminder that preparedness isn't just about having food and water. It's also about staying warm and comfortable, especially if the power goes out.
And that was another thing. The video said there's been like a 67% increase in power outages in the last 20 years because of weather.
That's a lot.
That's a huge jump. It makes you realize that having extra blankets and stuff isn't just about being cozy. It's about safety.
Totally. And this is where those old school skills come in handy,
Yeah.
Like knowing how to layer your clothes the right way or using blankets to trap warm air.
Right.
Even knowing how to use a fireplace safely. Those skills can really make a difference.
It's funny how something like knowing how to dress for the cold can be a survival skill.
Right. We're not as far removed from those self-sufficiency skills as we think.
Yeah, we're not. So it's really about being resourceful.
It is. Recognizing that we can do more than we think we can. We can be passive and just rely on everything working. Or
we can take action.
build resilience for ourselves and our communities.
I love that. It's so empowering. It's not about being totally independent. It's about having some control over your own life and being able to adapt.
Exactly. And that's helpful no matter what you're facing, right?
Right. Speaking of challenges, the video also brought up healthcare in the winter. Kind of a scary picture, actually.
Yeah. Hospitals are already overloaded, and now we might have medicine shortages, even over-the-counter stuff.
That is scary. The FDA even put out warnings about it. So should we be stocking up on meds?
It's tough. On the one hand, having some essentials on hand just in case is good for peace of mind.
Definitely.
But you also don't want to make the problem worse by hoarding or panic buying.
Right. Finding that balance is important. So what should people do?
I think it's about being proactive without freaking out.
Yeah.
Talk to your doctor about what you really need. Make sure you have enough to last a little while. And stay informed about what's going on locally.
Okay, that makes sense. Beyond stocking up, though, are there other things we can do to help the healthcare system during winter?
The best thing is to not get sick in the first place.
Oh, yeah, prevention.
Get your flu shot, wash your hands a lot, take care of yourself in general. Those little things make a big difference for you and for everyone else.
It's easy to forget about those basic things. So it's like common sense preparedness.
It is. The video also mentioned home maintenance.
Oh, right.
Cold weather can be rough on your house, especially if it's older.
Yeah.
And then if you have to get repairs done, it might take forever to get parts because of the supply chain stuff. So be proactive. Check your heating system, your roof, your gutters, and fix anything small before it turns into a big problem.
It's amazing how these ordinary things can be part of preparedness.
Yeah.
It's all connected, isn't it? Being prepared physically and mentally, having a good community, that all helps us get through tough times.
It really does. And it's not about being perfect or knowing everything. It's about taking little steps and realizing that we're not in this alone.
I love that. So let's embrace those challenges and learn from them. Use them as a chance to grow and adapt and become more resilient.
Right.
We'll be right back to wrap up this deep dive into winter preparedness with some final thoughts. And we're back, wrapping things up on winter preparedness.
We sure covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, from supply chains to winter weather, even the whole panic buying thing.
Yeah, a lot. But I think the takeaway is that prepping isn't just about, hoarding a bunch of stuff.
Right. It's more about being resilient, resourceful, having a good community.
That's where the Epic Economist video really gets it right.
Yeah.
It starts off kind of scary, but it's really a call to action.
Yeah, like it's saying, hey, stop being a passive consumer and actually take some control over your life.
And that can look like a lot of different things, right? It could be growing some of your own food, checking out local co-ops,
Oh, yeah.
even bringing back those old school ways of preserving food.
I love that.
Or maybe it's about connecting with your neighbors more, building a stronger community.
Right, because we're stronger together.
Exactly. And it's realizing that we're more capable than we think. Even small things can make a difference.
So true. You know, something you said earlier really stuck with me about turning challenges into opportunities.
Yeah,
I love that.
because those tough times, they could really bring out the best in us, make us more creative, more innovative, more connected.
Totally. So as we head into winter, let's try not to focus on all the bad stuff. Let's think about the possibilities too.
Exactly. Maybe this is a chance to simplify our lives, buy less stuff, reconnect with what really matters.
Or maybe it's a chance to build a stronger community. Learn those self-sufficiency skills, create a more resilient future for all of us.
Well said. As we finish up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay, fire away.
So let's say some kind of disruption does happen this winter. What's one positive change it could bring about in your life? The way you live or shop or connect with your community.
Wow, that's a really good question. It makes you think beyond just getting through the tough times. What about the long term?
Exactly. Because prepping isn't just about survival, it's about thriving. Using challenges to make ourselves and our communities better.
I love that. And remember, everyone, every little bit of preparation helps. It all adds up to a more resilient future for everyone.
Absolutely. So embrace that preparedness mindset. Not with fear, but with a sense of purpose and possibility. You've got this.
We're all in this together.
Yeah.
Supporting each other, sharing what we know. That's how we get through uncertain times and come out stronger on the other side.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into winter preparedness. Stay curious. Stay informed. Stay connected.
And stay warm out there, everyone.